Hello again, and welcome to this mini bonus podcast episode as a follow-up to the episode I literally just recorded 5 minutes ago on sepsis as it relates to COVID-19. So just in this really quick mini episode, we are just looking at what a cytokine storm is. Again, this is the Find Your Model Health podcast, the official podcast of Shemaine's Model Health for those looking to optimize their health and long-term goals and optimize their body. I'm your host. I am Shemaine Linney, a biohacker, fitness and nutrition expert and certified iridologist. And I'm not going to keep you too long. So in the last episode, if you didn't listen to it, I advise you do. Super helpful for our current situation of understanding the main concerns around this COVID-19 virus. So we're looking at, in that podcast, I said I would explain what the cytokine storm is, just so you understand. And I have done posts on this, but sometimes it's easier to listen to this than it is to constantly read. So one of the big concerns with what we know as COVID-19 or SARS-2, so just to clarify, COVID-19 is the illness, not the virus, and the virus is SARS-2, but we'll continue mostly to refer to it as COVID-19 to prevent confusion. But this big concern is called the cytokine storm. Now, a cytokine storm is an overproduction of immune cells and their activating compounds, which are your cytokines, so they're inflammatory cells, which in a flu infection is often associated with a surge of activated immune cells into the lungs. So with this virus, the primary target is respiratory epithelial cells. Those are cells that line your lungs and airways. And they compose the sequence of steps that your cytokines take if there's an infection. So pretty much those respiratory epithelial cells, they tell your cytokines, okay, this is the action we're going to take against this infection. When a virus gets into one of these epithelial cells, so the coronavirus as we've seen, it's shaped like a crown kind of, and it latches onto cells and kind of drills itself into cells. And once it gets into one of your cells and the epithelial cells of your airways, it then recruits that cell, because it's an RNA virus or an RNA-based virus, it sends out a signal to the cell to make a whole lot of replications or copies of itself. And that's how it multiplies or spreads. So in response to this, the body says, well, let's make a whole bunch of chemical messengers that will then create an inflammatory response. And the goal of this inflammatory response is to get the immune cells to come in and fight the virus. Kind of sounds like something we want to happen. And it is, except when it gets out of control. So there we have this fight starts happening. The first thing that happens in this fight is those pro-inflammatory cytokines, they get produced, okay? They act like an alarm and they drive the cells of your immune systems to come in and fight the infection. Now, after that acute inflammatory response, then there comes the anti-inflammatory cytokines to calm down everything. And generally, your immune cells fight the virus and then all is good. Now, what happens in the cytokine storm is the inflammatory process gets totally out of control. You then get no follow-up anti-inflammatory process and you get runaway inflammation. And this runaway inflammation can be worse than the virus itself, because it causes inflammation of the cells and tissues all over the body. And this is what can lead to sepsis and then organ failure and then death. So the takeaway from this is a little bit of inflammation is a good thing, but when it gets out of control, that's where it's a bad thing. So I hope this mini podcast episode helped you understand what a cytokine storm is and why we want to be aware of it. And we connect this podcast with the last podcast episode on sepsis, and we just really understand what is happening with this whole COVID-19 and how it's affecting bodies and causing damage. As always, if you know anyone that would benefit from the information in these episodes, please do share. Like I said in the last one, it would mean so much to me if you could share and help people understand what's going on. That way, we can take a load off our medical professionals if we understand how to start supporting ourselves before approaching them and overburdening the system even more. Stay safe, everybody. Stay clean and stay super healthy. My best wishes to all of you, and we'll see you on the other side. Bye.